everyone, this is Liz Easton, and I wanted to take a quick second to invite you to listen in to the PC Book Club. Wait, I need to start again. Hi, everyone. This is Liz Easton, and I wanted to take a quick second to invite you to listen to the PC Book Club, aka PCBC. Every so often, Ricardo Avila and I chat about the books that you should be reading right now. It's just like sitting on your own private book club discussion, only there's probably slightly more references to true crime and Charles Dickens. I did not write this.
We may have to re-record that anyway, because I think you just said it's just like sitting on your own private book club.
She did. That was great. Sitting on a book club. Sitting on a private book club. That's pretty racy. Sorry.
Should I try again? It's just like sitting in on your own private book club discussion, only there's probably slightly more references to true crime and Charles Dickens. So if you're looking for the class with an occasional dose of the sass, then check out the PC Book Club right here on the Popping Collars feed. Class and sass.
Love it.
I was praying to the Lord for some fun, but I guess He did.
Hi, I'm Greg Knight.
Hey, this is Ryan Parker.
And this is PCTV, a Popping Collars side project where Ryan and I tell you what you should be streaming right now this month. We're talking about the HBO Max series, The Pitt.
Morning, Jack.
What are you doing here?
Working. And if you jump on my shift, that's just rude, man.
I hope I'm never one of your patients.
Makes two of us, my friend. Hey, D, what's a good word?
We're 52 in the waiting room, and it's not even 7.
We're always working the shift, by the way. Got him a little slack today. It's the anniversary of Dr. Adamson's death.
Who left this mess?
Nothing like a little challenge every now and then.
We've got some new faces with us today. Hi, come on over.
I'm so happy to be here.
Talk to me at the end of the day.
Forceps.
Full suction. Med student down.
Welcome to the Pit. Let's go save some lives.
Systolics only 80, 14
Alex, you've lost a lot of blood. You need to go to surgery right away.
We're gonna die?
Not now that I'm here.
Easy.
I'm in.
Good, well done.
That was awesome.
Is it always this busy?
No, it gets a lot busier.
There's a nursing shortage across the country.
That is bullshit. If you paid them a living wage, they'd line up to work here.
Other hospitals are managing this crisis. Either step up or step aside. Are you okay?
Why wouldn't I be?
It's 5 years ago today. You can't block your feelings forever.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Crash car, let's go!
Epi.
No pulse. Clear?
Whole compressions?
Are we ready to call this? $150,000 people die every day in the world. Today you got one of them. And we're gonna get more of them before the shift is over.
Tier 1 trauma now. 4 of morphine. I'm gonna stop the bleeding.
You learn to accept it, find balance.
You found balance?
No, not even close.
Cue.
Wow.
Cue a bunch of Emmys rolling down an assembly line. Ready to go.
Yeah, like 25 Emmy nominations last week.
It's crazy. It's such an Emmy show. I think that we'll get into that as we go along. I got the log line for The Pit. Do you want to hear it?
What if I said no?
Okay, we'll just go straight
No,
to the
of course I would. It's like a doctor. You should do this. No. Okay.
This is actually a pretty decent log line. The daily lives of healthcare professionals in a Pittsburgh hospital as they juggle personal crises, workplace politics, and the emotional toll of treating critically ill patients, revealing the resilience required in their noble calling.
Yeah.
That's The Pit.
Noble being the key word.
There you go. Let's start there. What are your initial?
Also exposing bias here. I am married to a healthcare professional, so
That's right. Yes. So you got a little insider kind of info about this.
well, I get to sit and watch the show while my wife predicts everything that's going to happen. Oh, this is what's wrong with him, and this is the treatment. And sure enough, it's what happens. The signature strength of this show will never get a nomination. It'll never get an award, but it's the team of doctors and nurses that are behind the scenes of the show, consulting on episodes, consulting on cases, and in some cases participating in the show itself.
Right.
That raise this above every other medical drama show there is.
Mhm.
This almost feels like a medical documentary where something like, and this is not even to compare, but like even the original ER or House, Grey's Anatomy, pick a show. It's about the drama that just happens to be in a hospital.
Right.
It's about the actual healthcare, and the drama of the characters is a distant second fiddle to that, except for maybe the case of Dr. Robbie, who is kind of the driving force in this ER, if you will.
Yeah, so let's unpack that initial thought that you just had there of even the original ER, because I think that you're right. I think that because of Noah Wyle being the star of the show, it's easy to think of this as sort of an ER sequel or like an ER adjacent property.
Of course. And it's the same creators also.
Yeah. But it's also, I think that's a problem for the Michael Crichton estate.
Yeah.
I think that they're like, no, we don't want this to be associated with ER at all. Do you think that ER just had such an outsized influence over pop culture in the 90s that it's hard not to compare a medical drama to ER?
Yeah. But I wonder since then, like, if we talk about other shows like, well, an ER drama, I mean, it seems like other medical dramas, and I don't watch a ton of them, but, Chicago Med, is that an ER or is that just kind of a general hospital show? And oh, by the way, General Hospital. Or like a Grey's Anatomy is not focused necessarily in one department, right? It's
Right.
kind of a generic hospital. But yeah, I think ER was such a strong show that you also think about any sort of other political shows like being compared to West Wing, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's not just the cultural impact that show had, and obviously the stars that emerged out of that show.
Right.
But and then I think it's probably more of the Noah Wyle creator connection than anything, because I think there's a version of this show that works, maybe doesn't work as well without Noah Wyle or those ties. Like somebody could have said, "I'm going to create a day in the life of an ER."
Mm-hmm.
Fictionalized ER, and it could still work. But this is obviously not that.
Yeah, I don't think it becomes an immediate hit. I think it would be a slow grower if that were the case. I think that I think what Noah Wyle brings is familiarity and goodwill from an audience. So it's like, oh, I know that guy, and I know that setting, so I kind of know what I'm going to get. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
But I do think that you're right. I think that a hospital drama, take like a Grey's Anatomy or something. That's really dependent. That's really sort of focused on the soap opera elements between the characters, and you have space and time to kind of navigate those relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
In ER, an emergency room, you don't know what's going to walk through the door at any given minute, right? It could be slow as Christmas, and it could be hopping like you can't even catch up on the number of patients. And so I think that's part of the drama of an ER, of a setting in an emergency room, is that you could have a crisis at any moment.
Welcome to the Pitt.
We got 2 traumas from the T. 5 minutes out.
Okay, copy that. Actually, this is the most important person that you're going to meet today. This is Dana. She's our charge nurse. She is the ringleader of our circus. Do what she says when she says it. As you can see, our house is always packed. And our department is mostly clogged up with boarders. Those are admitted patients waiting for a room upstairs, sometimes for days. Beds are a very precious commodity around here, so please be quick and efficient with your workups. What else? We treat the sicker patients back here, but please keep your eye on that waiting room. Make sure nobody's going to die out there. Your senior residents are Dr. Collins and Dr. Langdon. You report to them, and they report to me. Okay? Great. Senior residents, you got your sign-outs?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Let's do this.
And for everybody or anybody that would watch this show and look at any particular case and say, well, no, that's just exaggerated for television. Trust me, it is not. I have a really good friend who ran an ER for a while in Stockton, California, which if anybody knows anything about Stockton, you automatically know what this ER could look like. And those are the best people. ER doctors and nurses are the best people to go have beers with because they have stories. So, yeah, I think you're right about that. There's just tons of drama. But in a bigger city like that, and especially, and I know that we're going to get there, and I don't know if I'm getting there too quickly, so tell me to back off. But especially in our current economic, political, and healthcare crisis, ER becomes primary care for so many people and was not designed to be that. And so it's only going to get worse for these doctors and these settings and these communities. So shows like that, if you don't reflect that chaos, you're just not paying attention to reality.
Right. I mean, how many Americans forego medical care because at the end of the day, it's going to bankrupt them and they're going to end up homeless on the street?
More than we want to admit.
Exactly. Yeah. Here's my initial thought about this show. And I think we've been kind of talking around it, but I think that for me, I was impressed at how it feels like such a throwback to the types of shows that we would have gotten in the 90s and early 2000s. And I think it's because the show basically works as an amalgamation of ER and 24, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, because each episode is basically an hour in the life of the staff, and they just go back to back to back to back to back, right?
Yeah.
So that's the 24 model. And the ER model is the fact that it's set in an ER. And there's something about those hour-long medical dramas where it's like you can wrap up stories in one episode, you can extend stories over 3 or 4 episodes, you can have an overarching story, and it feels very different from prestige TV, like the types of stuff that we've been talking about over the course of this podcast, right? It feels very different from like an Andor, which feels like, 3 movies kind of set up over the course of a season.
But when I think when we talk about prestige TV, we're also talking about, a lot of times we're talking about these dynamic worlds in which these stories take place.
Right.
Or the narrative itself is so mind-blowing, right? In the sense of maybe The Sopranos, it's so surreal, or it's a hyper narrative,
Yeah.
And that's not what this is. But there's a level or a layer of prestige here that's more about, I'm stealing this phrase, and people have heard it before. If you're listening to this, you've probably watched Pitt. It's competency porn.
Yeah.
That's the prestige.
Yeah.
Is that here are people who are either called to do this work, and I'm using that word intentionally because of the context of this podcast, and they're doing it to the best of their ability, or maybe they're not, right? And that's a crisis for them too. We don't often see that. We do see a lot of narratives that are bound up in people who are making bad choices, who are extremely talented, but maybe using that talent for purposes that don't serve the quote unquote greater good. But here you have something that is characters that are so real and rich, that are doing heroic work that is also everyday work.
What you're saying is right. It's this is sort of a heightened atmosphere that brings a level of drama with it. And behind the camera, what I would say is like, it's almost like a prestige version of a network hour-long drama. Because one of the things that we don't talk about on our show is we don't talk about CSI. We don't talk about the Chicago dramas like Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago whatever that's on NBC. We don't talk about Grey's Anatomy. But these things are huge, right? I mean, they have so many viewers. There are people that sit down and watch Law and Order still, right? Like
Yeah.
on network TV. And
Yeah.
they watch their hour-long drama and they get like their story and then they move on.
Wrapped up.
And they pound out like 24 episodes of these things. This show feels very much like those shows, but then it also has a foot in the HBO prestige world at the same time, right? So it feels
what's
like
really
a
funny
functional
about
show that
Yeah.
also has a higher purpose to it. Yeah.
And what's really funny is you don't, and I love, and we haven't talked about this, but the way in which HBO is releasing so many of their series, which unlike a Netflix, which drops all the episodes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're stringing it out an episode along, and for us, an episode a week. And for us, it has become appointment television. Like we sit together on a Sunday night, a lot of time with friends who are watching the show, which also feels very 90s. And I hope that they continue to lean into that, and they will release it in that way. But also the lack of time in between the first two seasons, right? We waited months, not years.
Mm-hmm.
That helps as well. But it's not an hour drama in the sense that everything's wrapped up with a bow,
Right.
which I know for a certain type of viewer, and I don't mean that pejoratively, like a Law and Order viewer, you're not getting the resolution that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that, and to me, that's a higher order show. The Pitt is, because it doesn't resolve everything in an hour, and you can't. It ends the season with more questions than it starts with.
That's true.
Right. And none of the crises that plague the healthcare system in our country are resolved in the show. That'd be a fairy
it will
tale.
not be.
Yeah. It'd be a fairy tale,
Exactly.
you know, or we move to Norway, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
What's the best scene, sequence, episode, or storyline?
When I realized that we were swimming in deep waters with this show was pretty early on, when I've talked about this to a lot of people. As I said, my wife is a healthcare worker, and she was at Cedars-Sinai during COVID. And there's a flashback sequence in season 1 where Robbie's mentor is dying in the hospital of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And they have apparently set that scene so well that I felt a shift in my wife when we were watching the show together. And, you know, a lot of times we joke about triggering.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that happen in real time, and the kind of PTSD of that. And I realized, oh, these are people who really know what they're doing here. And there's a certain level of compassion there too, to be able to capture that in the way that they did. But just the trauma of healthcare work. Like this is noble work, but that these are heroic people for the most part that are doing this work. And that for me was that was a big one. But just any time, I think the setting for me is so important too. And I don't know if this is a direct answer to your question, but this is not New York, LA, Chicago.
Yeah, it's Pittsburgh.
Right? It's blue collar town where this stuff is happening. And I think it has a potential to sit differently than if it were set in a quote unquote blue city, if you will.
That's a fascinating thought, because it's like, do you get a sense of the city of Pittsburgh when you watch this? Because it's so focused on the hospital.
Well,
like, they so rarely get out into the streets ever, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I think obviously in the dialect of some of the characters.
Yeah.
I think if it was set somewhere else, it would feel different.
Yeah.
And I think what the Pittsburgh of it for me is, this is happening everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And not just the politics of it, if you will, or the economics of it, but just the tragedies that happen that bring people in. Drug addiction, right? Just the stupid accidents, the tragic accidents. I think the second season, you're going to follow a storyline, and you've probably already come across it. I think the character shows up in the second or third episode, but he's a Latino man who's really battling diabetes,
mm-hmm.
but he's still working when he shouldn't be working because he has to get healthcare. And I mean, that storyline is the one that I think hits home harder for far too many viewers, and not just lower economic class viewers. I think solidly middle class viewers are starting to feel that too.
I think that's fascinating, because in my role as a hospice chaplain, so it's a clinical setting, but it's very different type of clinical setting, right?
Yeah.
When you were talking about the COVID measures, it reminded me of stories that I would hear from the other chaplains at the inpatient unit, when COVID was happening in 2020, and it was this idea of they weren't allowed to let people indoors, like inside for the most part. So if you were a family member, you would have to walk around the exterior of the building, and all of the rooms have like windows and stuff like that where you can look in. And the chaplain was saying, yeah, when a family member would show up, we would have to escort them around the exterior of the building to where their loved one's room was, and they were able to look through the window at their family member. And it was like a zoo, like I couldn't even think of what it would feel like to.
Greg, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I couldn't. And we think about the power and the trauma of that experience. Yeah. We still haven't seen that reflected in some of our pop culture stories of whether in film or TV.
And I think you're right. I think it affects a lot of people, but it doesn't affect the majority of people. I think that that's the real gift of this show, is that you get the sense that people may think that they understand what a crisis moment is going to bring out in them until they're actually in a crisis moment.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, holy cow, I didn't know it was like this.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So best scene, sequence, episode, storyline for me, I think it's clear. I talked about this last year. Long time Popping Collars listeners will remember that the Pitt was my best of 2025 pop culture thing from last year. And it was the scene of the four things with Robbie from episode 4, where he was talking to the children whose dad was dying about 4 things to say to let someone go, right? And that's from that Hawaiian ritual of, saying, I love you, thank you, I forgive you, please forgive me. I think that is far and away.
Jeez, I get chills thinking about it. Yeah.
I mean, that's the peak of the show for me.
Yeah.
Because I think that it not only hits my line of work, but I think it also teaches us compassion in a way that is tangible and kind of makes sense, So I think that that's the actual answer. However, there's a second option that I have, which actually shows up in episode 2 of season 1. I didn't realize it was that early. I thought it came later in the season, but it's Dr. Mel, who we're introduced to as a med student. She's what would you say, on the autism spectrum?
A little bit, yeah.
Because she has tics, right? That she just needs to kind of get through.
Sensitivities.
And it's when she is trying to calm herself down and she steps out of the hospital and she starts singing Savage by Megan Thee Stallion.
Mel, you okay?
If you're done fighting. Thanks, but my frustration manifests itself emotionally, and then I get upset, and then it looks like I can't handle things, and, then I can't cry in front of the patient because no one wants to see their doctor cry. That's just a big red flag.
You okay?
Yeah, for sure. I just hate seeing families torn apart.
Oh, they'll be fine.
I am a savage, classy, bougie, ratchet, sassy, moody, nasty. I am a savage.
So he didn't have to wait for OR?
Nope. We're a trauma center. We always keep one OR stocked and ready to go.
Well, that's awesome. What happens if there are multiple traumas needing OR?
We get a lot busier.
But not like singing it. She just starts reciting it to herself, right? Yeah. And it's just like, I love that because it feels incongruous with like who she is as a person. But you can also sort of see how that would be a calming sort of mantra to sort of like say to yourself, because it's like this list that she has to kind of walk herself through.
It's so unexpected.
It's so unexpected, and it's so kind of lovely in the way that it's filmed. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could know if there was any correspondence from Megan Thee Stallion to the team as like, because I would think that's just about the coolest thing ever, right? Like, this nurse walks out, she starts reciting my...
I could definitely see, like, just trying to... Like, if I were a young person working in a hospital in the 90s, I need to calm myself down. I could see myself, like, stepping outside and just like reciting Young MC Bust a Move to myself just to kind of like calm myself
That's
down.
it. That's funny. That's
This
good.
here's a tale for all the fellas. Try to do what our ladies tell.
Yeah, it's great.
Who's the best performance on the show?
Best performance? What? God, I'd pick your favorite child.
I know, right?
No, seriously, like
it's such an ensemble.
I could not tell you. I mean, I'm looking at the cast here. It's crazy. I mean, I think Noah Wiley, obviously. You've talked about Dr. Mel. She's great. I don't know. To me, this feels like pure ensemble. Like, I think the whole may be greater than the sum of its parts. I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Jaron Howell as Dr. Whitaker, who's like the kind of. It's really funny. We watched The Pitt alongside St. Denis Medical Center on NBC, which is a medical comedy.
Yeah.
Which we love. It's absolutely hilarious. And it's so funny because both shows have kind of like a country bumpkin white dude. And not that Dr. Whitaker is like country bumpkin, but he is like kind of can be bumbling.
Yeah.
I really like him. I don't know. I'm kind of punting on this question, and I hate to do that, but I mean, obviously, Catherine Lanassa, dude, we haven't even talked about her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Noah Wiley feels like the quarterback, but you can't have a quarterback without a great offensive line. You can't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just it feels like a great football team where everybody is just killing it on the field.
Yeah, and it's a really tough job. I think that's something that should be said. Is like, you get an ensemble show, but it's an ensemble show with like actors that folks aren't necessarily familiar with. And so you're really having to work hard to get people to buy into the various storylines and the various characters that you've got. So you've got to really hit the ground running fast, because Noah Wiley gets you sort of goodwill from people who are like, oh, I remember that guy.
But all the other characters are so vital.
But all the other characters you have to really build quickly. Yeah.
He gets you in the door. But what's also interesting about all those other characters too is that the actors are great, but their characters themselves are so solid, because you have a doctor wearing an ankle bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about?
Right.
You have a doctor that's on the spectrum. Have we ever seen that before? Like
the good doctor.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't watch a lot of medical drama. Sorry. I'll shut up now.
No, but that's a very specific kind of story, that's like Doogie Howser.
I was going to say Doogie Howser, but yeah.
No, it's I think that it's a testament to the writers of the show that they were able to find a hook for each of the characters so that you're able to easily identify them pretty quickly as you're watching the show, and then kind of build out from that hook, right? Like ripples on the water for each of the character. But even then you have to give time to all of these people, which is really hard to do in a script, as it's like, I'm going to swerve on this one. I'm going to go with Sean Hattasey, who plays Dr. Abbott, who's the night doctor. So we see Dr. Abbott at the very beginning. He's in the very first episode, and his shift is ending. And he's standing on top of the hospital, and Robbie's like literally talking him off the ledge, like of the hospital there. And then he comes back during, season 1 has the mass casualty event. And so Dr. Abbott gets called back in because his shift is going to be starting soon, but also he's a former army medic. He was like military, right?
Yeah. Yes. He's like a trauma field surgeon.
So he has like field experience. So they bring him in to this mass casualty event to be one of the lead doctors running that crisis. I think that there's a real gift of the show, and this comes with the 24 element of the show, this idea of like doing it hour by hour, because you can have a whole other shift of characters just waiting to come in. It's like having a bullpen. It's like having relief pitchers that you can like bring in and say, "Hey, we got these guys too." Right?
By the way, yeah, yeah,
I really love that. And Dr. Abbott was one of those characters that was like, and we'll get into this in just a second. You can see how this job of caring for people can really beat you down, but you can also see how it's a calling where it's like, you know what, I'm really good at this, and I'm going to just get back in there and start patching these people up.
Yeah.
Almost out? Yep, just about. Is this where you trying to talk me out of going?
Me? No, not a chance. Why, are you having second thoughts?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
You don't have to convince me. I mean, it is a little strange. The only place you talked about going is somewhere they used to drive buffalo off a cliff to die. I mean, I looked it up, and as far as summer vacations go, it's not exactly a holiday hotspot. I mean, what's in the gift shop, man?
It's just one place I'm going.
As long as it's not the last. Don't be pulling a Thelma and Louise out there.
I am minutes from taking a 3-month vacation. When's the last time you took any time off, Jack?
Yeah, but I've dealt with my demons. It's a process. You want to know why I never killed myself? After what I saw, lived through, losing my leg, losing my wife. Because it comes for all of us, man. You and I know it more than most. We see it every shift, but we can't let ourselves succumb to it. Yes, life can suck. It can be unbearable and brutal and ugly and heartbreaking, but it's also beautiful. And hilarious. And that woman today. Her baby, they'd both be in the morgue if you hadn't been here. That's us. That's you and me. That's what we're here for.
The most important things I've ever done in my life have been in this hospital. Nothing will ever matter more than what I've done in this hospital. But it is killing me. You know how they say that a part of you dies when you lose someone you love? I'm not convinced that a part of you doesn't die every time you see a fellow human pass. And I've seen so many people die that I feel like it's leeching something from my soul.
Go on a cruise, man. Knock off this helmetless motorcycle shit. Yeah, people talk. That's death wish behavior.
I'm tired of being a role model. I'm tired of feeling like you can't get ahead. I'm tired of feeling like I'm drowning every day. I'm tired of all of it.
You need to get away for a while, and you need to get some help. You need this place as much as it needs you.
Am I fucked up?
100%.
All right.
Big idea. To get us going. Theology Corner. What I wrote down was like the cost of caring. Because I think that's, we've talked a little bit about this, but I think that's really the point of the show is like, what does it cost these doctors and nurses to live this vocation? But also, what does it cost society to have hospitals to patch people up? And like, how do we create sort of a just system that takes care of everybody, that takes care of the caretakers, but also takes care of the patients, you know? And I don't think that we've created a system in America that does that. And I think that this show, that's the whole point of the show. Our current healthcare situation doesn't really help many people. It helps the people that can afford it.
Yeah, I would go there with you. I think you can also flip that. What is the cost of not caring?
Right.
I think that's where we are.
Yeah.
As a country. I think individually we have a great capacity to care. And I think for a lot of people, that's just motivated by pure altruism. Some people, it's faith of all faiths. And I think we show that time and time again, individually and as smaller communities. But there's this breakdown when it gets to kind of the national level, corruption, disinterest, outright hostility. I don't know, you know, but all these, and if this is like a faith podcast, talk about what, like America's a Christian nation. Well, the Pitt does not reflect that the way I understand the teachings of Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Because if it were, I don't think the Pitt would look like this. I don't think we would have a show.
Right.
It'd be pretty boring.
I think it's so funny that you say that because because I just watched The Big Short for the first time this weekend.
Dude.
I had never seen it before.
Dude.
And after I finished the movie, my one sentence review on Letterboxd was a nation founded on Christian values.
Enough said. Right?
No, you're totally right. I mean, the gospel narrative is pretty clear, right? You care for the least of these.
Yeah.
And that is not the healthcare system in America, because the least of these costs a lot of money and they don't give you money in return. And so it becomes a question of capitalism versus gospel. Is it, are you concerned about the bottom line? And honestly, listen, I feel bad for who's the hospital administrator that Robbie keeps going back and forth with?
Oh, yeah.
Where she's like, look, I'm trying to keep this hospital operating, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to hit the bottom line.
She's not a total villain.
Right.
Yeah.
I just need us to hit a number so that we can keep the lights on.
Yeah. She's in a difficult position too.
Mhm.
That's fair.
Yeah, and this is a total situation that we've invented in this country because we don't want to pay for poor people to get care because we don't think that they deserve it.
There is one thing that's true of America. America hates poor people.
Right. Yes.
Hates poor people.
Yes. So the great irony of that statement is that the majority of Americans are poor-ish, right?
Yeah.
And
then let's zoom out and look at the world. And, we just hate poor people globally.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Americans hate poor people globally, not just in our country.
Oh, Americans hate global people. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because there's this idea, there's this myth that's been sold to Americans that even if you are poor, you have the capacity to not be poor if you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right?
You just gotta work harder.
Exactly. You just have to work harder. And what I see as a chaplain is I see people that work their whole lives for this, this myth. And then they show up broken and sick and at death's door at the age of 66. And they're like, I thought if I worked hard that it was going to pay off for me. And all I did was just waste my living years of life.
Working but also for the people who had to.
Right, exactly.
Like, not the people who were like, oh, I'm going to work hard and try to accumulate all this stuff, or one day I'm going to have enough and then I can stop. Like, there's also the people that like, I've got children and I've got to put food on the table and a roof over my family's head. And it's taking me working my ass off, and then look back and that's all their life was. And there's brutal.
Or doing something that I don't want to do. Like, I frequently said this about the ICE recruitment, is that the recruiting of ICE officers is happening like military recruitment, which is like we are going after folks who have no options.
Yeah.
And giving them guns and very little training and sending them out on the street.
Yeah, and making them feel like they're part of something bigger than
food on the table.
Well, and there's also a narrative of being part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, so
right. Yeah.
Just getting back to the show, I think that it's a real Trojan horse of a show. There's some Odyssey references for those times.
We need to do an episode on the Odyssey.
It's a real Trojan horse of the show to pack issues into what looks like just a regular ER type drama. I mean, I guess the measles case was a little preachy, but there's so many of these different patients that come in that are emblematic of systemic health issues in America that could be treated if people could afford to go to the doctor. And by the time that they finally do get to the ER, it's usually too late.
Yeah.
And that can really take a toll on the people whose job it is to keep these people healthy and
it's brutal. Yeah. Yeah. And just also life. I mean, in a perfect world, you're still going to have illness and death and tragedy and accidents. And if your job is to just confront that every day by some sense of calling or choice, it's going to take a great toll on your life. Mm-hmm. Right. And like, how do we care for the people that care for others? That's another thing.
Well, I think we can lighten things up with a little industry corner talk. State of HBO Max. I think that we talked about this recently about the Paramount Warner merger, the David Ellison of it all. So that's lingering in the background. But also, I have a question about this show in particular and about hospital dramas and stuff like that.
Okay.
Do you think that something like The Pitt is sustainable at the level that it currently is operating? Like, do you think this show has like a 10 season run in it?
Not currently, and you're going to have to risk some big character changes to keep this going, because I think the through lines of, well, I think a couple things could happen, because I started to feel Noah Wyle fatigue toward the end of season 2. Like, let's just figure this out. I'm not watching real life. This is not a documentary. Okay. Mm-hmm. I need you to move this part of the story forward. And maybe there's an opportunity to uncover new facets of his character. Audiences will get tired of being preached at. And make no mistake, there are sermons in this show. We will run out of the big C crises to talk about. The little C emergencies, the little E emergencies, excuse me, the little C crises are never ending. I mean, get 30 ER docs in a room and you'll have some crazy stories.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think so. And I don't think it needs to. That's another thing about the industry for us is Americans tend to beat a dead horse.
I mean, ER went for what, 20 plus seasons.
The Grey's Anatomy is still going. I mean,
Grey's
what
Anatomy is
the
still
hell?
going.
So no, I don't think it can, and I don't think it should. Now, can the writers pivot with some key characters? Can we go to the night shift? Is that what's happening next season? I think.
I love that idea. Yeah.
So yeah, I think 4 or 5 seasons is good. Get out of there.
Yeah, I never thought about it, but you could go like use The Wire as a model, right? And like look at the healthcare industry from 5 different lenses over the course of 5 different shifts of this hospital. It would be interesting, yeah.
Or 5 different departments.
Yeah, I agree with you. Right, you don't want to ever get to the point where it's like someone has a bomb embedded in their chest. It's like showing up in the pit kind of thing.
Yeah. Or a bomb in their rectum, which is probably in the ER where it's going to be.
Exactly.
Along with a whole host of other items that shouldn't be there.
Exactly. So I think you're right. I think that this has a limited shelf life, and it'll be interesting to see how HBO manages that, because I bet the HBO loves this show, because I bet they come in pretty cheap compared to Game of Thrones.
Oh, no question.
I bet they like the fact that they can roll out this show every year and not have to wait years on end in between productions.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for the 3rd season. So
yeah, totally. That's it. The Pitt, greatest show on TV. It's going to win all the Emmys, so you may as well watch it.
Yeah, it's one of the greats. I mean, we could do a podcast on Widow's Bay on Apple, which also racked up a whole bunch of Emmys.
Next month, we're going back to the Camino, but just like I was telling you before, our Camino project is sort of taking on a life of its own. Not only have we come up with a name for our show, which we pitched before, and I think we both decided that we liked, which was Walk the Earth, because it's a Pulp Fiction reference, but it's also a mission statement for our show.
So good. Love it.
So on the next episode that you hear, it's going to be Walk the Earth, and it's going to be me talking to folks as I travel to Saint Jean Pied de Port. However, Ryan, I can't leave you out. We're going to do a little bit of a debrief conversation between the two of us as part of that as well. So
I like it. I can't wait. Can't wait to hear more.
Yeah, I got a bunch of new pod subscribers while I was over in Spain. So shout out to the folks that I met along the way who
Mr. Worldwide over here.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
That's why our international numbers are going up right now on the pod. Ryan, thanks for hanging out in the ER with me. You a night shift guy? You a day shift guy?
I'd have to be day shift.
All the good stuff happens at night.
I'm trying to work on better sleep patterns.
You're missing out. All the amazing stuff happens at night. All right, we will see you next time.
All right, thanks everybody.